Hey guys, Zito here. On my channel we talk about startups and companies that are changing the world today. I want to talk about Luminar, otherwise known as LAZR on the stock market. I don't do technical analysis on my channel, I just look at the company and its market opportunity. So we'll go through a couple of things about Luminar that I think are pretty interesting and why I think the stock is priced too high. So the company went through a meteoric rise in the last few months. In December, the company went public through a SPAC merger with Gore's Metropolis, and after they went public, their shares rose over 30%. You know, they're led by this young charismatic CEO, Austin. He was a Thiel Fellow a few years ago, which is essentially Peter Thiel's fellowship, where he asks bright college students to drop out of college and he gives them $100,000 to go start whatever business they want. So Austin went ahead and started a LIDAR company called Luminar. Austin has been described as an optics prodigy because he studied applied physics at Stanford and then dropped out to start this company. He must know a lot about LIDAR technology because his company is doing really well in the market, but I'll get into a few reasons why it's a little more gray area than that. Yeah, so Luminar is actually a LIDAR company. So what is LIDAR? Well, LIDAR is actually a laser technology that is helping autonomous vehicles, among other products, see their environment. LIDAR stands for light detection and ranging. It's basically the eyes of the car. So LIDAR helps an autonomous vehicle see the world around it. It shoots a laser beam out into the world and receives data back and can essentially create an environment of the world and predict where it's going to go next. Elon Musk describes LIDAR as a fool's errand because he thinks that LIDAR is actually a prohibitively expensive technology, and he thinks that cameras will do way better at seeing their world in the next few years. So he doesn't include any LIDAR in his Tesla models. But I don't think that Austin and Luminar care very much because they have contracts with 7 of the top 10 OEMs or original equipment manufacturers and a huge customer base that they're going to sell these products to, including Volvo, Mobileye, and others. But we'll see, because the market isn't actually that big. Luminar's market cap is actually greater than the entire market opportunity of the LiDAR market. So why is LiDAR important and why right now? So LiDAR is akin to selling pickaxes to gold miners during the gold rush. Essentially, the autonomous vehicle market is heating up by the day. Companies are getting acquired, technology is being built, and if you were to build an ancillary technology, not the actual car, but something that goes in or on the car, this might be a really valuable business to build. There's a ton of hype around autonomous vehicles and a ton of companies getting funded or bought. A couple include Zoox was bought for $1 billion by Amazon. Uber is handing over their equity in their ATG business to Aurora and investing $400 million in them. Cruise.ai was bought by GM a few years ago. And Tesla has a full self-driving capability that rolled out in its vehicles and is collecting data by the day. Millions of cars are on the road collecting this type of data, as well as Waymo is constantly creating new buzz about its autonomous vehicles that are piloted in Phoenix, Arizona, among other places. These pickaxe companies like Luminar are inherently less risky because they're focused on one product, one vertical integration, and autonomous vehicles are a combination of tons of different technologies and expertise. So you can see that by focusing on one niche, you might be able to grow the market rather than needing expertise in all these other things to build a sustainable brand and business. So Luminar is focused on just one vertical right now, which is LiDAR technology, and they're doing well with it. So essentially Luminar's product, the Iris, which isn't in production until 2022, shoots a continuous beam of light instead of a spinning cylinder like a lot of the other autonomous LiDAR companies. You can see how this is more innovative because instead of waiting for the laser to receive the data every time it spins around, by having one continuous beam you can see further and quicker than the other vehicles. So right now this is a meme stock on Wall Street Bets. It's trading on a lot more multiples than it's worth. You know, the market for LiDAR, I found some sources on this, is about $2.5 billion, but as of today the valuation of Luminar is greater than $8 billion. So why would one company's market cap be more than the entire LiDAR market? My sentiment is that it's risky because of a few reasons. They only have one product, the Iris, and it's not even in production until 2022. All they have are contracts written with these OEM equipment manufacturers to say that they will buy these products once they're produced, but that's not to be seen. one of their partners, Mobileye, actually dropped Luminar as a customer and decided to do in-house LIDAR production. There are some interesting thoughts on Twitter around LIDAR and why this company will not probably retain the valuation that it has. So Kyle Vogt of Cruise.ai and of Twitch fame tweeted about the LIDAR industry. He said that right now 5 companies will soon or have SPAC'd or gone public. Their value is based on projected revenue that comes from entirely overlapping potential customers with very little discount applied to future projections. Is this bad? Well, it's kind of weird because the market isn't really ready for a company to be this big. There's no products actually out in the world, and at this point it's just a meme stock on the internet. All these LiDAR companies are innovating in different ways, and they will impact the world in a positive way in the future, but right now it's critical to look at the progress of the company and how they're actually able to manufacture these products and see if they can get them out into the market and onto these vehicles to make any sort of change. So Kyle thinks that the LiDAR industry is next up for a consolidation. He says that the robo-taxi space over the last 24 months has consolidated to a handful of players, namely Google, Cruise, Uber, things like that, the larger companies. And he thinks that it's going to happen to the LiDAR industry as well, where there will be a couple companies bought up by larger companies or consolidations and mergers between LiDAR companies. This probably means lower market caps for most of these companies, which sucks for everyone involved, but the best product will always win in this economy. If you like my quick analysis on this stock or companies related to this, please comment on what types of companies you want to hear about. Just like and subscribe this video and you'll get more content related to startups and business. But I'll see you next week. Peace.